1981 is when I moved to Sanford, and I lived there for 2 years. And one of the first incidences that happened is I was a waitress at the Holiday Inn, and I was working the night shift, and they had a group of young college kids, not young college kids, but about that age, who'd come to town, and they were selling subscriptions for magazines to get for this scholarship to get money to go to college. So they were staying at our Holiday Inn, and they all came into the bar, and I was working the bar, and I noticed that one of my customers in particular was a really nasty redneck, and I knew we were headed for trouble. And so I got off early, and I was talking to one of the guys, and he goes, "I'm like, you really like this band is really great," and he goes, "Yeah, so let's go dance." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So we're dancing, and this redneck asshole comes up, and he looks at me first, and he says, "If you don't get away from him, I am going to fuck you up." And then I took a step back, and the young guy stood in front of me, and he said, "Whoa, man, we don't mean, he was like, we're not trying for any trouble, just back down, just calm down." And then the redneck guy turned around, he ripped past him, and he grabbed my top like this and ripped it. So then the bouncer, who happened to be a friend since I was a waitress there, grabbed the guy and went and beat his head out on the concrete, and then the cops came. That's Sanford, Florida. In a microcosm of what can happen in Sanford, Florida, that's Sanford, Florida. It's 2013. I'd really hoped that town would actually not stay stuck in that filthy racism. I really, really thought maybe there would be enough, at least women who are supposed to be a nurturing people, for them to just,
I'm quite sure that
it's heartbreaking.
If we look back at the history of slavery in this country and Jim Crow, we'll find that gender was not an issue. The oppressor was the oppressor, and that whole group, men, women, and children.
What these women have actually done is they've said that a person who's light-skinned now can actually kill a person that's darker-skinned just because they're in the wrong neighborhood, not because they're doing anything wrong. And that kid, that young man, he is stalked, literally stalked by this crazy person. I would have been afraid if I would have seen George Zimmerman stalking me like that. I would have been petrified. I'd have been terrified. And I also would have thought, oh my God, am I going to have to fight for my life?